The big crypto regulation has just passed one of its biggest hurdles, the Clarity Act. It has bipartisan support in the US and now is going to the Senate for a full vote, potentially in June. And the crypto market is already reacting positively. As we speak right now, the Clarity Act passed Senate banking committee yesterday and the crypto market is already up. A lot of altcoins are showing double-digit gains, including Hyperliquid, including XRP, and several other. It looks like an altcoin season, but without Ethereum. So everything is looking positively and the act hasn't even passed yet. What will happen when it does actually pass? Clarity Act is Trump's baby in terms of crypto. He is gonna make it pass one way or the other, that's my opinion. And the crypto market, one way or the other, will react to it. To talk about everything relating to the Clarity Act and how the crypto market is shaping up for the second half of 2026, it's me, Mo, and I have my brilliant friend Al with me, and we are CryptoManiacs. Don't get wrecked.
Hello, my friend.
Let's start. Let's get on to it. Al, what do you think? The Clarity Act, does it bring clarity for the crypto market?
Well, let's bloody hope so. If it has the same impact that the Genius Act has, which we think it will, possibly even bigger, it's just bringing confidence to the Wild West of crypto. By the 4th of July, we may never hear the phrase Wild West again, right? How great would that be for everyone's confidence? The problem is, you mentioned Trump, and there's another thing we need to talk about called banks. Excuse my cat. There are two significant risks that I can see, right? One is ethics around the Trump family, the removal of the idea that, political figures should have access to these opportunities. And then the other is, what will the banks do? How low are they willing to sink to try and torpedo this thing? Because they're worried about deposits flying out of their savings and interest accounts and into crypto.
Look, in terms of ethics, there's a lot to play here. Of course, the Democrats have been speaking a lot about, this regulation and previously the Genius Act as well, benefiting Trump and his crypto projects. World Liberty Financial, have you heard about it? If you haven't, well, good for you. If you have, well, good for you as well. Look, USD1, that's a stable coin that Trump's family kind of, quote unquote owns, I would say. So that's the most that's benefits from the Clarity Act. That's the most that benefits from the Genius Act. But let's, not dwell on the negativity. Let's also talk about the positives. The positive is that it does say what it, the name says. It brings clarity for the crypto market. Whether it's positive clarity or negative clarity, that doesn't matter. It just brings every rule to the book. It's more clear. For example, stablecoin yield. Well, there's a caveat to it. You can't, if you're in the US, you can't just deposit stablecoin in a liquidity pool in any exchanges or any platforms and just hope to get really good yield, 8 to 10% APY. You can't do that because the bill now prohibits it, but you can still, get transactional rewards. Like if you were using USDT or USDC to transact, if you're buying yield-bearing products, if you're investing in kind of passive income plays, you are still going to get a lot of good yield. That's potentially higher than bank deposits. So that's good. It doesn't kill DeFi activity. It promotes DeFi activity, but in a different way. So, a lot of the DeFi, what you do with perpetual exchanges, what you do with, liquidity pools, how you, claim airdrops, everything that gets a good rule book. You get a lot of structured opinions, and that does well in sense of it brings a lot of new projects in the US market. You're going to see a lot of more decentralized finance activities, a lot of cool, maybe new projects offering more airdrops. A lot of good things are going to potentially come out of it, and that means more on-chain activity. On-chain activity means more potential money. In a bull market, that means more, liquidity coming into the overall crypto market. So that's good. In terms of ethics, okay, yeah, it's kind of screw all in terms of ethics, isn't it?
So just on the stablecoin thing, some stablecoins you deposit them into staking and then you get the staked version and that provides a yield. Is that compliant with Clarity? Because a lot of them do that now, right?
Well, yeah, I think that there was kind of the main point that Coinbase objected because they have those wrapped assets. That's kind of their main offering. It it if staking is now classed as an activity. So if you're staking and kind of doing it regularly, that is still allowed. What you're not allowed is you can't basically lock up your USDC and hope for some rewards or yield. That you can't do. But if you can convert, you can stake, and you can use it to secure networks like on Ethereum and Solana, you can still get rewards from that. So that's still allowed.
So we might see every stablecoin get a staked equivalent now to reward that activity in a Clarity compliant way. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about in regards to Clarity, because I've seen the headlines, I've read the stuff. They say things like this is the gateway to $3 trillion worth of liquidity. I mean, is that slightly over exaggerating it, or do you think really this is what brings the entire the financial world on chain?
Well, look, the crypto market right now is around 3 trillion, I would say, right? Mm-hmm. And if that brings 3 trillion more, that's 6 trillions. We would love to see that happens. To be honest, but I don't think like it's going to happen entirely right now, all of a sudden, but it does open that pathway. Like, in previous bull markets, a lot of US players, a lot of small players, a lot of liquidity came on chain, but there was still no clear roadmap of how they would be taxed, how they would fall under the US Securities Act, everything. There was a lot of, so it did restrict a lot of players from going back and saying, okay, is this safe, in terms of regulation? Now there's that pathway. So anyone who wants to come in the market, they know what to follow and what not to follow. So yeah, it does open doors to 3 trillion more money coming into the market, but not at once. It's not going to be like 3 trillion dumping on the market. It's going to happen periodically. And we need to understand that what the Clarity Act really provides. It provides clear access for US organizations, companies, and projects to enter the crypto market. That's the simplest plan. And US is, of course, the biggest economy in the market, like it or hate it. It is the biggest financial player in the globe right now. So when such a financial giant gets a clear road to enter a market like crypto, it creates opportunities. You won't see it instantly, but you will see it down the line. And my opinion is that you're already kind of seeing the reaction on the altcoin market. If I need to talk about 3 altcoins that's going to benefit most from this act, I would say Solana is the biggest one, because DeFi is Solana. Solana is DeFi. There's no other token solidifies the decentralized finance narrative than Solana. It is decentralized finance. So Solana activity is going to boom around the US market. I think everyone in the US who's coming into the crypto market fresh, they're going to start with Solana. Activity is going to boom there in a bull market, and price will go up. Solana, we've talked about this over and over again. Solana below $100 is extremely underpriced, extremely cheap. In a bull market, the price floor is just way off the top, more than $300, I would say, personally. Not financial advice, just my personal hypothesis, of course. Another 2 quick ones I would say is Hyperliquid looks to benefit from this act, because Hyperliquid is the biggest perpetual exchange, and majority of his activities are very much US market centric. So that's gonna benefit a lot. Personally, I think XRP does benefit a lot from this as well, because from a rule book language kind of way, XRP is not a security, and Clarity Act clarifies what is a security and what is not a security. It does align a lot. And XRP has reacted positively to yesterday's news. So these are the 3 tokens, Solana, Hyperliquid, and XRP, that I think benefits from the Clarity Act. Al, what do you think?
I totally agree with that. And you know what I think would be really interesting, just to close the conversation around the US impact on the crypto world. If we look at market share, Binance is what, over 30% of the crypto market share. Coinbase is under 10%. So is the idea that Coinbase could compete with Binance, Clarity Act helps it become America's crypto bank, and it gets that market share, is that worth more than the traditional banks? Right? That's what we've got to look at here, really, is are we looking at the history or the future? Because if we decide, hey, Coinbase can compete with Binance if Clarity goes through, wouldn't it make sense if Base launched a token? Right? Wouldn't that suddenly make so much sense? Base drops a token, Clarity Act says we believe it's decentralized enough to count as a security, commodity, whatever. And then boom, market share, you start stealing it from Binance, you grow Coinbase and Base into something huge. That's something to think about. So yes, any native token, and yes, sometimes they need to be sufficiently decentralized enough, like Solana, but layer ones and layer twos that have been established as decentralized could go to the moon, and we could see a surprise. This is just a rumor, nothing confirmed, but you could see Base drop the token round about July 4th. Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be something to think about? So those are my thoughts. I totally agree with what you're saying, Mo. Those coins will absolutely go to the moon, especially with the World Cup coming up for Liquid and Solana. 100%. It's going to be very exciting.
Absolutely. And very, just to close the conversation, very interesting what you said about Coinbase. It would be amazing if they launch a token. I think that would do a lot well. But do remember that Coinbase is publicly traded. It has a stock as well. So Coinbase stock, I think, would do amazing if the Clarity Act passes, because they are the bank of crypto. They are going to be reaping the benefits of this act with all their offerings and all their services. So Coinbase stock is, of course, one to watch. And that's it. That's all about the Clarity Act we need to know. Do subscribe to CryptoManiacs and follow us for more alpha.
Thank you very much. See you next time.